Good morning. This is Dr. David A. Padgett. This is the Weather and Climate course, Tennessee State University, spring semester 2021. Today is March the 11th. I'm going to share my screen. And so the main order of the day this week is, of course, the midterm exam. And so the pause. Okay, and to resume recording now. Back to the screen share. Okay, so again, the midterm exam is the main order of the day. This week, it is due at noon on Saturday. You can access the exam here. I think I emailed it to everyone also. And so click there. And again, the midterm exam is a Word document. There are instructions along with the exam. Answer each question. Again, as I mentioned before, my advice would be to delete the answers that you don't want, leave the answer that you do want, and move on to the next question. Well, I've been through these instructions before. No need to repeat them today. So if you have any questions, please let me know. There are a couple more days before it's due. So one of the things that I promised that I would do today is take a look at some of your article reviews. Whoops, so that means I'm going to have to get out of student view, obviously. Get back into developer role. Okay, so let's see how we're doing with these article reviews thus far. And since Garrett Ross is here today, let's take a look at Garrett Ross's article review. And so going back to the syllabus, you will find the instructions for the article review in the syllabus. And so it's a relatively simple exercise. Here's the syllabus. Here are the article reviews on weather and climate. And so basically it's pretty simple. You'll find articles discussing weather and climate issues. Cite the article number there, summarize the article in first person voice, 250 to 350 words. Describe at least 3 specific things you learned while reading the article. Add 3 to 5 keywords. And then, of course, if it's from a printed source, scan the article. So those are the instructions. So let's see what we have here. So Garrett Ross, article number 1, date, name, major. And so he's describing in detail the winter storms in Texas, 2021, good 2021 winter storm, being very specific. I think this storm was named. That's the only other keyword that I would include. I'm almost sure that the storm was named, but I'm not going to be nitpicky. And he has his citation here. Everything looks okay. So that is basically what I would expect. Don't see any shortcomings there. Let's look at someone else's article review. Let's see, we have Kaylee Rhodes here. Good. She decided to put her citation first. Number 1, date, name, major. Again, Texas. Yeah, good. First person tense. And oh, wait a minute. Let me go back to the first one. I just kind of might have snoozed on something there. Let's go back to Ross's article. Just kind of. Yes. So really, like I said, what I was looking for was for you to describe at least 3 specific things you learned while reading the article. So that should be very deliberate. You should literally say, I learned these 3 things. So that would that's what I was looking for there. Maybe it's not directly included in the essay, but it should be from this point forward. Notice that Rhodes here, let's see. Yeah, so she specifically says, I learned a little bit more about how people are surviving during this winter storm in the South. Okay. Okay, I think she's trying to be a little intuitive here, but be more direct. I mean, like, this is good. After reading this article, I have learned a bit more about how people are surviving during this winter storm in the South. And I guess she's also saying that she's learned about carbon monoxide poisoning, but I mean, it should be more deliberate. You can even do bullet points to describe what you've learned from reading each article. Let's see. Here's Michael Ashley. Let's see how he did. Greenland, okay, and very good. He's got a quote from the article. Yeah, okay. Again, don't really see the last part of what was learned in reading the article. I see a lot of information from the article itself. I would ask Michael what a digital elevation model is. Okay, so don't just toss words into your essay that you're not going to be able to define yourself. Because if we were in a live class, I would definitely ask, what's a digital elevation model? What's a DEM? And if you can't answer that question, don't put it in your essay. So when you write these essays accompanying the article, and when you start to get to the point where you're writing your term papers, and we'll talk about this next week, your audience is not me. So of course I know what a digital elevation model is. I know what a DEM is. But if you're going to describe what you've read and what you've learned in an article review to a general audience, try to be less technical about it. That's specifically why I asked you to write it in first person. Because if you notice that the essay starts off in first person and then it falls off. Now you get no more first person here. So I want you to really put yourself in a position of explaining what this article is about to someone, to a very general audience. So I'm not your audience. Of course, you're going to use all this technical language with me, but that's not what I want. What I want is to see is, are you able to take very technical information and break it down so that a lay person can understand it? That's one of the things that scientists have to do, because most of the people that you're going to be working with or working for are not going to be other scientists. Uh, Trust me. I can tell you some stories about when I worked for the federal government. My bosses were attorneys. I was a physical scientist. My supervisors had degrees in liberal arts. Um, so when they asked me to explain to them what was happening with regard to the geology and hydrogeology in the state of California and Nevada, I couldn't use a lot of technical language, and my supervisors were making policy decisions based upon my work. So they had to understand it. So I hope you're understanding what I'm saying I want you to do with these essays. Hopefully they'll get better as we move throughout the semester. These first few I'll kind of let slide in terms of, well, not completely slide, but let's look at the other section here. Let's see what we get in terms of article reviews. Let's see. So we have Theodora. And on. So again, please read the instructions carefully. It clearly, maybe I should make this in underline it and put it in red. In your essay, you must. It doesn't say you should. It says you must describe at least 3 specific things you learned while reading the article. And so this is where I try to see if you actually interpreted what you read, and you didn't just read it and report out, got the article review done, uploaded to the Dropbox. Did you really understand what you were reading? Okay, that's what I'm looking for. And search around for articles that you can interpret easily. Find some newspaper articles. Some of this. See, this article was in. This is a NASA publication. Yeah, that's going to be a bit much for us to understand without a good deal of background. So just, you don't necessarily have to find these intricate, complicated articles. Just find something that's in the New York Times, Wall Street Journal about weather, climate. That's fine. I'm not going to be impressed by your, finding an article and trying to explain it to me and using a lot of technical language. That's not what I'm looking for here. And it's really a unique skill for scientists, whether you're a social scientist or a physical scientist, to take your base of knowledge and break it down in a way that lay people can understand. Because when you get out into whatever profession, unless you go into academia and you're purely an academic, then you're around a whole bunch of other PhDs, and you can be in that bubble, and that's fine. But most of us are going to end up working with people who don't know what we know, and you have to explain it to them. Even if you're going to be a physician, you can't talk to your patients the same way you talk to other physicians. They won't know what you're talking about. So it's an acquired skill. Let's look at one more here. Rawls. Let's see what Rawls did. Okay, so he's got his major science, biotech. Okay. So he read. Now, okay, let's see. Yeah, so this one is missing the citation. It's not done according to the directions. Same thing, it starts off in first person, and then I get a lot of reporting out from the article itself, even though this is clearly original text here. So um, please take to heart, this is constructive criticism. I just want you to do these better. Um, like I said, the first couple, not going to grade very harshly. But after watching this video, I expect to see some improvement, and not just olaying these things. It's very important that you do the article reviews. They count as a significant portion of your grade. So don't think that, oh, I'm not going to do these article reviews, I'll make it up on the exam. No, these are the easy points. Get the points you know you can get. You don't know if you're going to do well in the exam. You know you can do these. You know, if you can read and write, you know you can do these article reviews. Let's look at today's weather map. Let's see what's happening with today's weather map while we're here. And so I'm going to go to content and then to online weather sources. The data stream page. And here's today's weather map. Wow, this one's a lot more interesting than one. I wish I had this one when I gave you the exam. This one's a lot more interesting. But so let's see, what do we have for Nashville? Very warm here. Notice the wind direction for Nashville, Atlanta, Birmingham, Little Rock, Arkansas, this southerly flow. So that's clearly, maritime tropical air mass influencing the region. And so that's the high pressure here. So this is what we call sometimes it's called the Bermuda high. We really don't feel it intensely right now. If we have a Bermuda high influencing the area during the summer, that's when it gets really hot, and sticky, and it's just miserable during the summer. But right now, this time of year, it feels kind of nice, especially after we had temperatures in the teens, Fahrenheit teen degrees not too long ago. This feels great. And so, but as you can see, a change is going to come. So here we clearly have a cold front pushing across the Great Plains. And notice here there's a disturbance outside of Indianapolis, just northwest of Indianapolis, Indiana. So that's the leading edge of that cold front. Notice there are probably some thunderstorms there. And so those are some probably cumulonimbus clouds being forced through frontal lifting along that frontal boundary. You can clearly see that. If we look behind the front, there's about there's not a significant, there is. Let's see, if we look here, I think that's probably Des Moines, Iowa. 37 degrees Fahrenheit there behind the cold front, 43 degrees Fahrenheit at, it looks like it's Manhattan, Kansas. And so notice ahead of the front is 66 degrees Fahrenheit at Little Rock, Arkansas. So you can clearly see the influence of this front. Let's look at pressure. So notice, I wouldn't expect to see a big difference in the pressure gradient here. So we have 1022.3 millibars at Little Rock, Arkansas, and behind the front, maybe 1020. So you can clearly see what's happening here in terms of pressure, maybe along the front with this um, warmer air being forced aloft. That's going to result in a lower pressure, probably some clearly unstable conditions in this area. You can see all the upper level disturbances. But with this high pushing across, we might expect to see a clearing with cooler temperatures. So let's see if that's true. So if I'm predicting the weather for Nashville, well, let's see, Little Rock, Arkansas, over the next 48 hours, I would say that we'll see clearing. So we'll go to the National Weather Service spot, site here, here, and let's see, Little Rock, Arkansas. Let's see, Little Rock, Arkansas. We'll go there and let's see if I'm right. Oh, let's see. So we've got some storms. I forgot to mention, should have mentioned the storms, of course. That's that leading edge of the front. So the front's going to push through, and then not much clearing until Monday. So obviously I was wrong. Yeah, that's interesting. So the only clue as to what might be happening is, notice here this little symbol here shows that this portion of the front is stationary. So this front might not be very fast moving. It's a cold front, but maybe it's maybe a slower moving cold front. So the impacts upon the weather in Little Rock, Arkansas, were not what I expected. I thought that we would have maybe a burst of thunderstorms here within the next 24 hours and then clearing, but not really what I would expect. But um, so who knows why that is? Perhaps the flow from the south, this maritime tropical air mass is stronger. Looks like these um, pretty strong southerly flow. Maybe that's going to slow the advance of this front and have a longer period of rain than I would normally expect with the cold front. But we do have limited information upon which to make predictions here. Let's see. Here we have up into Canada, it's like a very strong low. So if you notice, uh, let's see, notice at this point, notice that we have 978 millibars. This is a very strong low here. Man, that's really low here. So that is, and you see these front circulating around this low pressure center here. Very interesting. Let's go out on the West Coast and see what's happening. So we have low pressure dominant around Reno, Nevada. Where's that car? That's Reno. And clearly we see some disturbances. You see the counterclockwise rotation around the low with this frontal boundary coming in, bringing some moist air. So we see a lot of unstable conditions across California. A lot of radar is picking up some disturbances in the upper level there. And this is clearly a maritime polar air mass having influence. But interestingly enough, the wind direction is northeasterly, which is probably associated with this high pressure system forcing that continental tropical air over Los Angeles. But then the temperatures don't really, the temperatures reflect more of an influence from this cold front coming off of the Pacific Ocean. Very interesting mix there. Of course, you have some orographic effects here associated with the Coast Range and the Sierra Nevada Range. So I thought we'd just take a kind of a cursory look at today's weather map, and just so that we can just to give you a little bit of a few clues as to what I might be looking for in your description or your 48-hour weather prediction for your city. Like I said, it won't do you any good to cheat and look at the forecast. I'm looking for, what specific rationale went into your predicting what's going to happen in that city in the next 48 hours. It has to be, a very thoughtful process. Now, you could be totally wrong. I mean, weather forecasters are wrong all the time. When we had the, if you watched the very good presentation done by the local Nashville National Weather Service office on the tornado outbreak of last March, 2nd and 3rd, that wasn't predicted. Nothing indicated, according to them, there was really no strong indication that that kind of tornado outbreak was going to occur based upon what they knew. And unfortunately, a lot of people lost their lives. Not that that would have made a difference, but who knows? Who knows? People might have been a lot more vigilant had the TORCON been high and that was broadcast over the news, and people would have been a lot more vigilant. But again, if you remember, this tornado was nocturnal. It came in the middle of the night. People were asleep. The people who were killed in East Nashville were coming out of a bar, I think, and just walked out into the street and were killed right there in the street, a couple, and hit by debris. And so very unfortunate. But who knows, if had people been aware of warnings that they might have hunkered down. I know that when the let's see, Nashville tornado, which was mentioned, here's the 1998 Nashville tornado. I was downtown when that tornado came through, and so there were clear warnings. There were people who knew that the tornado was coming. Yeah, April 16th, 1998. F3 tornado came right through downtown Nashville. And I was downtown. I was on 2nd Avenue. And we knew that there was a tornado. Even with that knowledge, still, people were at the window looking at the tornado, and I was saying, you get away from the windows, So even then, people were still overcome by their curiosity, wanting to watch this tornado that went through downtown Nashville, and so they were very lucky, because had things gone a different way, they could have been very seriously injured or killed had that tornado touched down and blown that window out while they were looking through it. Okay, so let's see what we have here. Speaking of tornadoes, I am going to take a look at your, see your work here, the storm spotter training. So we have Garrett Ross, and so Garrett Ross is here. So I'll just take a look at this without really grading it. And so, okay, this looks good. I'm just looking at it for the first time. And this was all I really expected you to do. A lot of you all had issues with the storm spotter training. And as I told someone that in the past years that I've taught this class, when I looked at the evaluations, almost every student said that the storm spotter training was their favorite part of the course. And that's because normally a National Weather Service meteorologist would come to campus and do the workshop live in person, and it's much more interesting in person. These, as you probably noticed, the virtual tornado spotter trainings are not quite as rich or interesting, and to some degree annoying. But I just wanted you to take a look. The severe weather week material was really good. There was a lot you could learn from there. Also, the videos, the YouTube videos, really good source of information just for you to just become more weather aware. And if you were able to, I know one person was able to actually work through one of the tutorials and get a certificate of completion. Just wanted you to kind of knock around through there and just learn as much as you could about storm spotting. And if you decide to go further, you can still at your own leisure go through and do the advanced storm spotter training, um, and become a spotter. And again, it's a very important role because um, radar can't see everything. We still need human eyes on the ground to see what's going on in the sky with these tornadoes. And I illustrated that with the radar blind spot um, graphic that I showed you, I think last week. So we might have a brief discussion. Yeah, we will have a discussion about the storms, the tornado storm spotter training. I wish that I wish that more people had completed it. And again, if you have any confusion about anything in here, just ask me right away. Don't try to figure it out for yourselves. This in this environment, in this virtual environment, it is really, it's just absolutely necessary that you communicate once you become confused. You can't just raise your hand as we would do in class and say, Dr. Padgett, I don't know about this. Dr. Padgett, I don't know about that. You know, don't try to figure it out. If you were in class and I was talking and you were confused, you wouldn't just sit there. You would raise your hand. So you have access to me via phone or via email or what have you. Get in touch. I know that, like I said, some people had issues with the assignment. It wasn't meant to be difficult. It was meant to be fun because, like I said, in previous years, students have said that this was their favorite part of the course. So here you see Theodora actually went through and was able to complete one of the courses. So she's a Skywarn. Well, she's completed the basics now. In order to become a spotter, she might have to do more steps. And so here she has some of the training videos, and she also attended the Skywarn. So she's got a lot of, this is exactly what I want you to do. We can talk about this further. And then she got another certificate. And then, of course, she wrote a nice lengthy essay. So this is basically what I expected to see. But anyway, good job, Theodore. Very good, excellent job here. But we'll talk about this more next week. Okay, so continue to work on the midterm exam. If you have questions, please ask. Don't try to figure it out. You make a mistake and then turn in the exam and then not do your best work because for whatever reason you didn't ask a question. There's a saying, closed mouths don't get fed. Closed mouths do not get fed. I'm not here just to listen to you talk. I'm here to address your questions. That's why I'm here. Take advantage of it. Okay, so I am going to stop the recording. Today is March 11th. This is Dr. Padgett, Weather and Climate, Geography 3500.